Congress is about to pass a bill that blows away your taxpayer money, but they made it over 1,500 pages long so you wouldn't read it. I did you a favor. I read it for you. It's supposed to be about keeping government operations open and providing disaster relief aid to hurricane victims, which I'm sympathetic to. But if you read the bill carefully, it contains pay raises for members of Congress, and I'm not making this up, an expansion of their federal health benefits. It contains all kinds of special interests and pork funding, including opening up a new stadium in Washington, D.C. It renews the Global Engagement Center, which is a key node of the censorship industrial complex. And the worst part is, they didn't want you to know about any of it, and that's why they made this a last-minute jam job. The reason I'm co-heading DOGE is I think we need outsiders to bring actual accountability to Washington, D.C. So feel free to call your congressman and let him know how you feel about it.
This is Vivek Ramaswamy against the bill that is supposedly going to fund the government until March next year. Unfortunately, this bill is completely bloated with utter BS. It is outrageous. And Elon Musk on us say this bill should not pass. This is how big the bill is. That many pages to fund the government and to waste taxpayer money. So let's hear about what Marjorie has to say about this. She totally agrees with Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy on this.
Think about what Elon and Vivek have said?
Yes.
I agree with them 100%. I was a no on the CR before I even got an airplane and came to Washington. I haven't voted on one yet.
Do you think Republicans will be able to get anywhere next year on their effort to cut spending?
Yeah, look, next year's a different scenario. We're not dealing with Chuck Schumer in the Senate. We're going to have Donald Trump in the White House. We will have a narrow majority in the House, but we have to be able to do it next year. So, you know, we're stuck in the same scenario here, but still the CR is completely inexcusable. It's horrible. Think about what Elon and Vivek
I think she's
said.
totally right. This CR is completely inexcusable, completely atrocious. It makes no sense to vote this, to masquerade pay raises under natural disaster and disaster relief. That makes no sense at all to me. It is insane that such a bill could find its existence, right?
I'll tell you what is important, and this is what I'd like to see, is the relief for farmers and disaster aid relief, especially for the people that were affected from Hurricane Helene. I think that's something we should be voting on separately from the CR. You know, there's a lot of members like me that want to vote to help farmers and help for these hurricane victims, but we don't want to have to vote for a CR that we didn't vote for that funding in the first place. And these are the types of games that we're really tired of, having to pick and choose with, oh no, how do we take care of our farmers and our victims of hurricanes? How do we do that? But we're against voting for all the funding in this other giant package. And, you know, that's just the stuff that Washington, D.C. does over and over again, and everybody's sick and tired of it. I'll tell you what is important.
It makes total sense. That's completely insane that you would do that. Funding stadium that costs $3 billion, wasting taxpayer money on pay raises for the congressmen, and putting natural disasters relief in front of it. Oh, this is insane. She has a lot more to say about this. Let's watch.
Well, it's really turning into, it's not a CR, which is a continuation of the budget. It's turning into an omnibus, is what it sounds like to me, where they're packing in, everybody's packing in what they want here and there, and using the pressure and the situation of the government shutdown. Of course, tragically, farmers are being dangled. Americans that suffered through natural disasters, they're being dangled with disaster relief. And I think that's incredibly unfair. And you know, think about it like this: if this is going to turn into a 3-month omnibus, basically, then why aren't we doing the heavy lifting on, you know, the upcoming debt ceiling situations that we have to deal with in March, government funding? But no, and we don't have any bill text. I have no idea what's in the CR except just basic things that we were told in there. And then reading often you guys' X accounts, because somehow y'all magically know things oftentimes more quicker than I do. But reality is there is no CR text out yet. We don't know what's in it, and Here we are. What is today? Tuesday? Yeah. Okay. So that's it.
What is the mood of the conference? I mean, obviously you have.
This is insane. Marjorie Taylor Greene is open to Musk for speaker. She says she would be open to supporting Elon Musk for our speaker, an idea proposed by other Republicans as Congress faces a government shutdown Friday night. The government is probably going to shut down, unfortunately, because the Democrats voted against the new bill that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance wrote this morning. Johnson is now considering alternative plan with less than 2 days anti-government funding runs out, with President-elect Trump now calling on lawmakers to lift the debt limit as part of the pending deal. Green led the so-called Doge Caucus, part of Musk's effort to cut government inefficiency, echoes sentiment from Rand Paul in suggesting that the billionaire take an official role leading the House. Wow. And this is members of Congress that speak on the House floor and that are completely opposed to this bill. Let's watch.
3 minutes. I thank the gentlelady. When I ran for Congress in 2018, the debt was $21 trillion. I was just texting with my son back home in Austin, who I haven't seen in quite a long time because I'm here trying to fight for him. When I got through cancer about 12 years ago, I made my promise to my kids that I would do everything I can to save this country. And what we're doing right now is to continue to double down on the things that are destroying the republic. We are going to increase the debt ceiling, not just $4 trillion, that's false. We have spent $4.7 trillion in additional debt in the last 19 months. We're going to increase the debt by $5 trillion. That's what's going to happen right here by Republicans, increasing the debt $5 trillion. And what are you doing in the same bill? $110 billion unpaid for, because you never have any ounce of self-respect to go out and campaign saying you're going to balance the budget, and then you come in here and pass $110 billion unpaid for. On top of the $200 billion you did for WEP, you guys won't agree with that, but the fact of the matter is $330 billion. Congratulations, you've added to the debt since you were given the majority again on November 5th. It's embarrassing. It's shameful. Yes, I think this bill is better than it was yesterday on certain respects, but to take this bill yesterday and congratulate yourself because it's shorter in pages, but increases the debt by $5 trillion is asinine. And that's precisely what Republicans are doing. I am absolutely sickened by a party that campaigns on fiscal responsibility and has the temerity to go forward to the American people and say, you think this is fiscally responsible. It is absolutely ridiculous. It also turns off PAYGO. It turns off the $1.7 trillion in automatic cuts under PAYGO, because this side of the aisle is profoundly unserious about actually reducing deficits, just as my colleagues on the other side of the aisle are profoundly unserious about reducing deficits. The entire body has been racking up debt for my entire life. $36 trillion, $1 trillion of interest. We rack up $1 trillion every 100 days. Now, what are we going to do about it? We're going to run around and talk about cutting taxes, but not doing what's necessary to cut the spending along with the cut taxes. My other side of the aisle, my colleagues will say, oh no, we got to increase taxes, but won't do anything to cut spending. And so here we sit in the same mess. And I got to be honest, I want to remind people, this is Article 1. I yield back.
Wow, just wow. People are not happy about this bill at all. As a taxpayer and citizen, it infuriates me that 90% of the seats are empty. It needs to be one issue per bill. It took 200 years to rack up the 5 trillion. It only took 25 to tack an additional 32. Yep. People's voice is who you need to listen to. And finally, the latest news on the subject. The government shutdown is hours away. as Congress scramble for spending deal, the government's probably gonna shut down. Unfortunately, the Democrat voted it.
Taking a live look at Capitol Hill, where Congress is scrambling to reach a federal spending deal to avert a government shutdown. They have until tomorrow night to make it happen. This evening, the House failed to pass a Trump-backed spending proposal. It failed 174 to 235, with 38 Republicans voting against it and just 2 Democrats crossing the aisle to support it. Republican lawmakers proposed a 3-month extension of government funding that also calls for a 2-year suspension of the debt limit. WJCL 22 News' Tia Maggio has been following this story all day long for us. She joins us live now from outside the Hunter Army Airfield. And Tia, this could be the first government shutdown since 2019.
Well, Brooke, it's the nightmare before Christmas, and not just for Congress, but for U.S. service members like the ones here behind me and federal workers whose paychecks are on the line.
On this vote, the yeas are 174, the nays are 235, 1 voting present, 2/3 not being in the affirmative. The rules are not suspended and the bill is not passed.
Congress is cutting it close, failing yet again to reach an agreement to avoid a government shutdown. The newest spending bill shot down in a vote Thursday night. The 2 political parties disagreeing who's to blame.
Republicans seem to be afraid to do what is necessary to do for their constituents. They'd much rather please their president-elect.
The Democrats in the Senate on whether they are going to go along with it. If they are not going to go along with it, then if the government shuts down, it'll be on them. It will not be on us. I can assure you of that.
Speaker Johnson scrapped the original bill after Republicans, including President-elect Donald Trump and Elon Musk, objected the amount of spending.
It's not ever how much the spending is. It is always where the spending is going.
That we cannot continue to add to a $36 trillion debt. We don't have a revenue problem in Washington, D.C. We have a spending problem.
If the shutdown occurs, federal parks will close, federal workers won't get paid on time, and airport lines could be longer.
Social Security checks threatened. See that disability checks threatened.
But Republicans like Congressman Carter feel confident about pulling through.
This is nothing new in that sense, but we can still get it done.
Both congressmen say that disaster
I agree, it is
relief...
nothing new, and they will survive another shutdown. I believe, hopefully they do better. They learn the lesson and do better next time over and try to find an agreement between all parties that makes sense. Look at this. This is the whole bill. This is shut it down. Shut it down. They say, let's watch what Elon Musk is posting. This bill should not pass. Exactly. It's finally happening. Rejected. Yep. A super fair and simple bill was put to a vote, and only 2 Democrats in Congress were in favor. Only 2. That's insane. They are rejecting a fair and simple spending bill that is desperately needed by states suffering from hurricane damage. This was your bill, this is the new bill, and it got rejected by the Democrat. So the government is probably gonna shut down Friday night, meaning in a couple hours from now. Insane. Let's see what happens. We will see. Thanks for watching and staying with me. I really appreciate you being there. I hope you enjoyed this video. Click right there to watch the next video, and I will see you there. Bye bye.